What's good, Josh? Your man, the Bigga P. And first of all, I'd like to say Happy New Year. It's 2016. It's been a minute since I did a video. A lot of stuff, holidays and stuff. They get busy. I get busy, and then I'm running around, going to different places and whatnot. So yep. So I'm back for 2016, and pretty much talk about the doubleheader, heavyweight title doubleheader that I just finished watching on Showtime. Before I go into that, I guess the other big story of the day was David Haye coming out of almost like 3 year layoff and pretty much beating Mark DeMurray within a round, pretty much with absolute ease. Obviously, didn't break a sweat, and Haye was pretty much at the heaviest of his career, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, the guy he faced was a can. Um, But I mean, like I say, it looked like he still had enough. Still had enough in his hand speed and whatnot to actually get the job done. So I'm not sure if he's actually going to stay that high of a weight, or should actually try to cut down just a little bit. But hey, I mean, now with the heavyweight division as open as it's been in quite some time, I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll be a much welcomed addition to it. And of course, him, trying to regain the heavyweight title. So yeah, which brings us to the heavyweight title doubleheader today. That was on Showtime. First fight was Martin versus Glazkov. This was for the vacant IBF World Heavyweight title. This title became vacant shortly after Tyson Fury took it. After one of the belts that he took from Vladimir Klitschko, and then he had a mandatory on that title, which he refused to do because I think he accepted he wanted to go after a rematch with Vlad. So what happens was the IBF stripped him ASAP, and somehow, some way, Glazkov and then Cesar Glazkov and Charles Martin were the two contenders for this title, which is odd. Well, not Glazkov because I've actually seen him fight. Although in his case he's gotten at least three gifts, and at his career so far. And then we have Charles Martin, who hasn't really accomplished anything at all, other than just being a very undefeated raw prospect under Heyman. So, and originally I know Martin already had another fight lined up. I think it was either with Brazil or Mansoor or somebody, and then he immediately dropped that off, and then to take this shot. This fight, like like I said, this fight I couldn't really care a whole lot about. I mean, the only thing I cared about was just to see who's actually going to pick up a belt. Was it going to be Glazkov or was it going to be Martin? The pre-fight, I mean, Glazkov actually looked like he was actually in gym. He actually, he got on the scale. And he actually weighed in, and looked into the supreme fighting shape, whereas Martin weighed in as the heaviest of his career for this. So I mean already I'm already not overly excited as it is. Um, the fight itself was not exciting either. What happened in this? I mean, pretty much what happened in the fight. I mean, it was pretty much Martin had all the physical advantages in the world, and Glaskov was a little bit too hesitant. Although he successfully did try to go to his body a lot, Martin was just pretty much had like pretty much basic, pretty much it was just a lot of basic jabs and whatnot, and he just pretty much straight walking him down. And then in the third round, pretty much is where the fight ended. And here's where it got strange. First, Glasshoff slipped in the middle of the ring. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, slipped. There's nothing like that. And then a couple seconds later, Martin looks like he landed either a jab or whatever, and then Glasshoff went down hard. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, did Martin just catch him on the way in? Because that's what it looked like to me. I thought Martin just caught him, something like that, because he went down hard. And then he got up and he was like limping. I'm like, how did he do that? And then pretty much after limping to the corner, he couldn't continue. So now the man, Charles Martin, who like I said, it's just there's a lot of questions on him. Has suddenly now become the IBF World Heavyweight Champion, um, which which I mean I don't know what to say about that because it wasn't an impressive performance. It was an inconvenience that happened. It was a shame that happened the way it did, with Glazkov pretty much messing up his knee. But it's just like, I mean, what do we expect from Charles Martin? Like he has a belt now. I mean, he hasn't done anything, and he has a belt in this division. And this just reminds me of a couple of things that I've said about the heavyweight division when Klitschko actually lost all his belts. In like the new heavyweight era, there's going to be some eyesores in this era, and this is the first one, give or take. I mean, Fury, I'm not high on either, but at least Fury is actually putting some work in the division. Martin has not. So it's one of those fights where you're just like, okay, I mean, Martin has a belt now. What do we expect from him? Is he actually going to go after any of the other champions? Is he going to inherit some mandatory? Is he going to run it back with Glazkov after his knee heals? So many questions. But now, pretty much, I'd have to say now, if we have to say like who's probably the worst world champion in boxing today, it's, he probably win this one hands down. But I mean, like I said, you can't. I mean, I can't fault him too much. I mean, he did what he did. He came in there, he fought. He did the best he can. He won, and he's a champion. So kudos to him, I guess. I guess we'll see in a couple months where we stand with that. And then after that, there was a lot of broadcasts. They showed a lot of a lot of Holyfield highlights, and then they had an interview with Lennox and Tyson, and then they had the interview with Sean Porter, where they mentioned that he'll finally fight Keith Thurman on March 12th. And all I need for them is to confirm the location of it. I mean, I've heard so far Mohegan Sun, which was a surprise to me. Mohegan Sun is just an hour and a half drive away from where I live. So I mean, that happens. I want to be able to at least try to actually, get myself on a ticket watch so I can get tickets for this, because I definitely want to be in the house for it. So that would be, I figured. I mean, like I said, I'm not high on a lot of PBC fights at all, but this was a fight within PBC that should have been made, and it has actually, has some importance with regards to the welterweight division. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, like I said, it is confirmed that Mohegan Sun's where it is, and I'll be in the house for that. So it takes us to our main event: Deontay Wilder versus Artur Szpilka. This was Wilder's third title defense, and I've made it clear I'm not high on Wilder at this point. I mean, he's fighting for 7-8 years, and it's just I don't think he's gonna really improve more. I mean, more than he is now. I mean, he has athleticism and whatnot, but I just don't see. It could be he may, who knows? Maybe later, he may become a better boxer. But he has not been letting the world on fire since he took the belt off Bermans Deverne last year. So like I said, so afterwards he faced Szpilka, who's pretty much fights that I've seen. He had a war with Mike Mallow on Friday Night Fights fight a couple of years ago, and then he has to win over Adamick, and then he has his one loss to Jennings. Like I said, he's basically a journeyman who has somewhat improved his actual fighting. So at least there was a little bit more intrigue than Wilder's last two fights. The fight itself was, it was okay. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, the early parts of it, there was a lot of tentative stuff. Wilder almost immediately throwing some very sloppy shots. Neither of them really establishing a jab, to at least try to set up these shots. Wide stances, the whole nine. A lot of, like I said, it was just pretty much you're just with that type of scenario, you're just waiting to see who's going to get caught with what first. And Szpilka was the one that, that started scoring early. He went to the body. He started flicking his jab more than Wilder while Wilder was trying to load up. Then in the middle of the rounds, Wilder started finding his range. Wilder started picking him off with counters, right hands, long right hands, and as he and then started to respond well to his pressure. And pretty much, and after that, like I said, I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of rounds that was really hard to score. I mean, by the end of it, pretty much on my card I had it even. It depends. Like either do you actually give the man who's actually pressing issue forward, or you getting the guy who actually landed more meaningful shots? Because Szpilka was the one that was actually getting the, that was actually putting the pressure on Wilder, and it was effective. By 9, you could tell that both fighters were actually tiring a lot. So I'm over here thinking, okay, we have 4 rounds to go. Who's gonna land the actual shot to actually, to actually put out the lights? And Szpilka was actually taking Wilder shots, pretty well. And then in round 9, he lunged in with the left, and Wilder just countered with a mean right hand across on the chin. Knocked him out cold. I'm talking about out cold. And I was like concerned because, like I said, usually Szpilka's his eyes were closed. He was not moving. I was like, this is they need to get something in to wake him up. They need to get some smelling salts on him. Like this. The referee was just like really taking his time, and like the guy is out cold. You might just want to take his mouthpiece out and try to revive him. His eyes weren't even like open. Like his eyes were closed, like he was asleep. So like, after some time, it was good that Szpilka he came to. He's actually set up, but then just as a precaution, and since this is in New York, they got him on a stretcher and they're not taking him to the hospital, which is good. Because we don't want any type of situation like happened with the Magomed Abdul fight, Mike Perez fight that was from a couple years ago. Where of course if you follow that, Magomed after an incredibly brutal fight, was pretty much left brain damage. After some neglect happened, post-fight neglect happened. So so it's good that they're actually taking all the precautions in the world just to make sure that that nothing happened to him. So Wilder, he was in there. Wilder got on the mic. He was, he gave him props for being difficult. Being a southpaw and whatnot. Then of course Fury got into the ring, and then you had WWE type of action going on there, which was pretty good. Hey, you got to sell the fight. Fury, as far as I know, is not bound by either HBO or Showtime, so of course he can fight anywhere. To my knowledge. And hey, you can let the fight cook. This fight could happen this year. Once, Fury, does his rematch with Vlad. I could see this fight could happen at the end of the year, or it could be in 2017 fight. But it's cooking. So hopefully that actually does happen. But yeah, but the heavyweight division is, like I said, it's just incredibly wide open at this point. Like I said, Wilder, as I mentioned before, Wilder's what he is. Like I said, boxing wise, skills, I don't think he's gonna really improve all that much. But his athleticism is still there, so he'll always be in the fight, for the time being. But and then you got Fury, who's the leader, who's the actual man, who's the lineal heavyweight champion now. He's the man at the heavyweight. You say, is it gonna be a short-lived type of performance, or is he able to repeat his performance? Because he now holds the WBA and the WBO titles. And then we have Charles Martin, who, like I said, who may, I know it's no fault to him. He did what he had to do, but he's probably now the worst world champion in boxing today. And it's gonna be interesting to see who Heyman is gonna get him in the ring with. He's actually gonna get him with an actual mandatory, someone who's actually a noted, who's actually rated, or is it gonna be somebody that that I've never heard of before, or anyone else hasn't heard of before. Just to give them a soft touch or whatever. But like I said, the heavyweight division is wide open at this particular time. So, I mean, there's probably going to be some highs, and there's going to be some incredible, and there's probably going to be some incredible lows. I'm expecting both. So, yep. I mean, those are my thoughts, and I know until probably next week. I think it's Garcia and Guerrero's next week, I believe. The PBC card on Fox. So, and of course, I have my views on that. For that actually being for a title, but I'll save that for when I actually make the video, next week. So, till next time, peace.